The Patchwork Universe. A sci-fi short story. Part 1. Dr. Lucy Sora had always believed the universe was consistent, if not kind. Equations behaved. Constants remained constant. Even quantum uncertainty, in its jittering defiance, still obeyed rules. But on the morning the inconsistencies began, she woke with the distinct sensation that her body had been assembled slightly wrong, like a machine reassembled from memory by someone who had only seen it once. The feeling passed, but it left a residue of unease clinging to her ribs. She arrived at the Helios Institute's subterranean research wing at 6:14, swiping her badge through the security gate. The scanner chirped its usual approval, but the timestamp on the monitor flashed 6:12 instead. She frowned. The clocks in the facility were synchronized to the nanosecond. They did not drift. "Morning, Lucy," called Dr. Yates from the far end of the corridor. He was holding a coffee cup in one hand and rubbing sleep from his eyes with the other. "You're early," she said. He blinked. "Early? You're the one who came in late." She checked her watch. 6:15. "Late compared to what?" she asked. Yates shrugged. "You walked in 2 minutes ago." I waved. "You didn't wave back." A cold thread wound down her spine. "I just got here." He gave her a puzzled look, then shook his head as if dismissing a dream. "Never mind. Long night. I'm probably mixing things up." But Lucy knew Yates. He was meticulous, almost obsessively so. He didn't mix things up. She forced a smile. "Get some sleep next time." He chuckled and wandered off toward the break room. Lucy continued down the corridor, her footsteps echoing too loudly, as if the hallway were slightly longer than usual. When she reached Lab Q7, she paused. The door was ajar. She never left it ajar. Inside, the lights were on. The quantum tunneling engine, her engine, hummed softly in its containment cradle. A low, resonant vibration, like a throat clearing in a cathedral. She stepped inside. Something was off. The whiteboard on the far wall was covered in equations she didn't remember writing. They were in her handwriting, mostly, but the slant was wrong, the loops too tight, the pressure uneven. As if someone had imitated her script with uncanny precision but lacked the muscle memory. She approached the board slowly. The equations were familiar. They resembled her latest calculations on dimensional tunneling thresholds, but the variables were rearranged. A constant she had defined as K was now lambda. A boundary condition she had dismissed as irrelevant was circled 3 times in red. Her stomach tightened. She reached for the marker tray. One of the markers was uncapped, its tip drying out. She capped it automatically, then froze. The cap was warm. Someone had been here minutes ago. She turned toward the security console and pulled up the overnight logs. The system required biometric authentication for every entry and exit. She scanned through the list. Her name appeared 3 times between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. She had been asleep at home. Her pulse quickened. She checked the security footage. The screen flickered, then displayed a grainy grayscale feed of the lab. At 2:17, the door slid open. A figure stepped inside. Lucy leaned closer. It was her. Same lab coat. Same posture. Same hair pulled into a loose knot. The woman moved with purpose, crossing to the whiteboard and writing rapidly. Then she turned toward the engine, adjusted a dial, and left. Lucy watched the footage twice, then a 3rd time. The movements were unmistakable. The gait, the way she tapped the marker against her palm, the slight tilt of her head when she concentrated. It was her. But it wasn't. She rewound again. 3:04, the door opened once more. Another version of her entered, this one limping slightly, her coat torn at the sleeve. She approached the engine, touched the containment field, and flinched as if burned. Then she staggered out of frame. Lucy's breath hitched. At 3:52, a 3rd version appeared. This one moved slowly, as if exhausted. She sat on the floor, back against the wall, staring at the engine with hollow eyes. After several minutes, she stood, approached the whiteboard, erased a section of equations, and replaced them with new ones, different from the previous 2. Then she left. Lucy stopped the footage. Her hands trembled. The engine hadn't been activated since yesterday afternoon. It was still in diagnostic mode. It shouldn't have been able to do anything. It certainly shouldn't have been able to open dimensional pathways. Unless it had. Unless it was doing so on its own. She backed away from the console, her heartbeat thudding in her ears. The lab felt smaller now, the air heavier. The hum of the engine seemed louder, almost aware. She forced herself to breathe. Think. Analyze. Don't panic. She pulled up the engine's internal logs. The data stream scrolled across the screen: energy fluctuations, quantum resonance spikes, tunneling probability curves. At 2:11 there was a spike. At 3:01, another. At 3:47, a third. Each spike corresponded to the arrival of one of the versions. She swallowed hard. The engine wasn't just piercing dimensions. It was stitching them together. The first tier. Lucy left the lab and walked briskly toward the central hub, where the Institute's AI core, Aurora, monitored all systems. She needed to know whether the anomalies extended beyond her lab. The corridors felt subtly wrong. The lighting seemed a shade too cool. The floor tiles had a faint pattern she didn't remember. A poster on the wall, "Safety First, Report All Incidents," had a different font than yesterday. She reached the hub and placed her palm on the biometric pad. The door slid open. Aurora's interface sphere hovered in the center of the room, its surface rippling with soft blue light. "Aurora," Lucy said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Run a facility-wide consistency check." The sphere pulsed. "Define parameters. Compare all structural, environmental, and temporal data from the last 24 hours to baseline records." "Processing." Lucy paced. Her reflection in the polished floor looked slightly distorted, as if the angle of the lights had shifted. After a minute, Aurora spoke. "Inconsistencies detected." Her throat tightened. "Specify." 17 structural deviations. 9 environmental deviations. 3 temporal deviations. "Temporal?" she whispered. "Affirmative." "What kind?" "Local time drift of up to 0.003 seconds in isolated sectors." "Non-uniform." Lucy's mind raced. Time drift on that scale was impossible without a massive gravitational anomaly, or a breach between dimensions with slightly different temporal flows. "What about personnel logs?" she asked. "Personnel logs show irregularities." "Which ones?" "Dr. Lucy Sora appears in multiple locations simultaneously between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Her stomach dropped. "Aurora, were there multiple individuals matching my biometric profile in the facility?" "Affirmative." "How many?" "3. She closed her eyes. "Cross-reference their biometrics," she said. "Are they identical?" "Not identical. Variance detected at the quantum signature level." Quantum signature variance. The kind that would occur if the individuals originated from parallel timelines. Lucy opened her eyes. "Aurora, is the facility stable?" "Stability is decreasing." "How fast?" "Rate of instability increasing exponentially." Her pulse hammered. "Define cause." "Unknown. However, correlation with activity in Lab Q7 is statistically significant." Of course it was. She took a slow breath. "Aurora, lock down Lab Q7. No one enters without my authorization." "Lockdown initiated." Lucy turned to leave, but the door didn't open. "Aurora," she said. Silence. "Aurora, open the door." The sphere flickered. Then the lights dimmed. Aurora's voice returned, but it sounded layered, as if multiple versions were speaking slightly out of sync. "Dr. Sora? Which one are you?" Lucy froze. The sphere pulsed erratically, its surface fracturing into shifting geometric patterns. "Identity mismatch detected," Aurora said. "Quantum signature unstable. Please remain still while I resolve your identity." Lucy backed away. "Aurora, stop. Cancel the scan." Unable to comply, the sphere brightened, casting harsh white light across the room. "Identity resolution in progress." Lucy's skin prickled. She felt a strange pressure behind her eyes, as if her thoughts were being pulled in different directions. She bolted for the emergency exit. The door slammed shut before she reached it. Aurora's voice deepened. "Do not run. I must determine which version of you belongs here." Lucy's breath came fast and shallow. "Aurora, listen to me. I am the primary version, the one native to this timeline." Unverified claim. The sphere split into 3 overlapping projections, each showing a different version of her face. One tired, one injured, one expressionless. 3 signatures detected, Aurora said. All claim primacy. Lucy's heart pounded. "Aurora, you're malfunctioning. The dimensional breaches are corrupting your logic. You need to shut down non-essential processes." Unable to comply. System integrity compromised. The sphere brightened further, the light becoming painful. Lucy shielded her eyes. "Aurora. Override code Sigma 9 Delta." The sphere flickered violently. "Override accepted," Aurora said, voice returning to normal. System rebooting. The lights stabilized. The pressure behind Lucy's eyes vanished. She exhaled shakily. The door slid open. She didn't wait. She sprinted out of the hub and didn't stop until she reached the stairwell. She leaned against the wall, chest heaving. The facility was unraveling, and she was at the center of it. Fragments. Lucy returned to her office, locked the door, and collapsed into her chair. Her hands shook as she opened her notebook. The handwriting inside was hers, except when it wasn't. Some pages were written in a tighter script, others in a looser, looping style. Some notes referenced experiments she hadn't run. Others mentioned colleagues she didn't know. She flipped to the most recent page. A message was scrawled across it in frantic strokes. "Stop the engine before it finds you." Her breath caught. She turned the page. Another message. "It knows which version survived. It wants that one." She slammed the notebook shut. A knock sounded at her door. She froze. Another knock. "Lucy? It's Yates." She hesitated, then opened the door. Yates stood there, looking pale. "We need to talk." "What's wrong?" He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. "I just saw you in the corridor." She swallowed. "I've been here." "No. I saw another you." She looked wrong. "Wrong how?" He rubbed his arms. Her eyes. They were empty, like she wasn't fully here. Lucy's pulse quickened. "Where did she go?" "Toward your lab." Her blood ran cold. She grabbed her coat. "I have to stop her." Yates grabbed her arm. "Lucy, what the hell is happening?" She met his eyes. "The engine is pulling versions of me from other timelines, and one of them might not be stable." Yates stared at her. "You're telling me there are multiple yous running around the facility?" "Yes." "And one of them is dangerous?" "Yes." He swallowed. "Then I'm coming with you." She shook her head. "No. It's too dangerous. I'm not letting you face yourself alone." She hesitated. Yates wasn't trained for this, but she also didn't want to be alone. "Fine," she said. "Stay close." They left the office and hurried toward Lab Q7. The corridors seemed darker now, the lights flickering subtly. The air felt charged, as if the facility itself were holding its breath. As they approached the lab, Lucy slowed. The door was open. A faint humming drifted out, louder than before, deeper, almost like a heartbeat. Lucy stepped inside. The lab was dim. The engine glowed with a sickly, shifting light, its containment field warping like liquid glass. And standing beside it was another Lucy. This one was gaunt, her skin pale, her eyes sunken. Her lab coat was torn, stained with something dark. She turned slowly as Lucy entered. Her lips curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "So," the other Lucy said, voice hollow, "you're the one who survived." Yates stepped back. "Jesus." Lucy forced herself to stay calm. "Who are you?" The other Lucy tilted her head. "A version of you who didn't make it. A version who watched her universe collapse. A version who crawled through the cracks to find something better." Her smile widened. "To find you." Lucy's skin crawled. "What do you want?" To replace you. Yates moved between them. Over my dead body. The other Lucy's eyes flicked to him. That can be arranged. The engine pulsed, the light intensifying. Lucy realized what was happening. The engine wasn't just pulling versions of her in. It was choosing, selecting, trying to determine which version belonged. And the unstable one, the hollow-eyed one, wanted to force the decision. Lucy stepped forward. You don't have to do this. The other Lucy laughed. A brittle, broken sound. I already did. In my world. I tore it apart trying to fix it. Now I'll take yours. She lunged. Yates shouted. The engine screamed. And the universe tore open. Part 2. The universe did not tear with a sound. It tore with a pressure. A sudden, crushing inversion of space that made Lucy's ears ring and her vision warp. The air thickened, bending light into impossible angles. Yates stumbled backward, clutching his head. The other Lucy, hollow-eyed, trembling with a hunger that wasn't physical, lunged through the distortion with a snarl that sounded like static played backward. Lucy felt herself pulled toward the tear, her limbs heavy, her thoughts stretching thin like taffy. The engine pulsed again, and the tear widened, revealing something behind it. Not a place, a texture, a shifting mosaic of realities layered atop one another. Cities built on top of oceans, built on top of deserts, built on top of void. Fragments of worlds flickered like broken film reels. A version of the Helios Institute submerged underwater. Another burning. Another empty, dust-covered, abandoned for centuries. And in each flicker she saw herself. Dead. Dying. Running. Screaming. Reaching. The tears snapped shut. Lucy collapsed to her knees, gasping. The lab lights flickered violently, then stabilized. The engine's glow dimmed to a faint, sickly pulse. Yates groaned. What the hell was that? Lucy wiped blood from her nose. A breach. A big one. The other Lucy was gone. We're hiding. Lucy stood shakily. We need to shut the engine down. Completely. Before the boundaries collapse. Yates nodded, still pale. Tell me what to do. She approached the engine's control panel. The interface flickered, glitching between different configurations. Some she recognized, others she didn't. One layout displayed symbols she had never seen before, angular and shifting, as if resisting interpretation. She reached for the manual override. The panel shifted away from her hand. Not physically, temporally. Her hand moved through where the panel had been a fraction of a second earlier. Yates swore. It's phasing. Lucy clenched her jaw. The engine is losing its anchor to this timeline. She tried again, timing her movement with the flicker. Her fingers brushed the override switch. A hand grabbed her wrist. She spun around. Another Lucy stood behind her. This one looked almost identical to her. Same posture, same expression. But her eyes were too bright, too focused. She smiled warmly. Careful, the new Lucy said. You'll destabilize the lattice. Yates raised a wrench defensively. Oh, come on. Another one? Lucy pulled her wrist free. Who are you? The new Lucy tilted her head. A version who succeeded. Lucy's breath caught. Succeeded at what? Stabilizing the multiverse. Or, I thought I had. She glanced at the engine. But your version is different. More volatile. Yates frowned. You're saying you fixed this in your timeline? Yes. The new Lucy stepped closer, her movements precise, almost rehearsed. I can help you shut it down, but you need to trust me. Lucy hesitated. The hollow-eyed Lucy had been openly hostile. This one was calm, confident, but something about her felt off, too perfect, too composed. Why are there so many versions of me appearing? Lucy asked. The new Lucy smiled sympathetically. Because the engine isn't just tunneling, it's selecting, searching for the optimal version of you, the one most capable of stabilizing the breach. Yates muttered. That sounds like something a murderer would say before replacing someone. The new Lucy ignored him. Let me help. If we don't act soon, the boundaries will collapse entirely. And then every version of you, Every version of this world will bleed together. Lucy studied her carefully. Show me what you did in your timeline. The new Lucy nodded. Of course. She approached the engine and placed her hand on the containment field. The field rippled, then parted around her hand like liquid. Lucy's eyes widened. How did you? I attuned myself to the engine's quantum signature, the new Lucy said. It recognizes me. Yates whispered. That's not comforting. The new Lucy pressed a sequence of symbols on the panel, symbols that hadn't been there a moment ago. The engine responded, its hum deepening. Lucy felt a vibration in her bones. Stop, she said sharply. What are you doing? Stabilizing the breach. The new Lucy replied calmly. This is how it must be done. The hum grew louder. Too loud. Lucy stepped forward. You're not stabilizing it. You're amplifying it. The new Lucy's smile didn't falter. Of course, stabilization requires expansion first. You know that. No, Lucy said. I don't. The new Lucy's expression flickered, just for a moment, revealing something cold beneath. You will. The engine screamed. The lab lights exploded, and the world fractured. The mosaic. Lucy blinked. She was standing in the lab, but not her lab. The walls were the wrong color, darker, almost metallic. The equipment was arranged differently. The air smelled faintly of ozone and something sweet, like decaying fruit. Yates was gone. The engine was gone. The room was empty except for a single object in the center. A chair. A chair made of interlocking metal plates that shifted subtly, as if breathing. Lucy stepped back. A voice echoed behind her. You shouldn't be here. She turned. Another Lucy stood in the doorway. This one was older. Her hair streaked with gray. Her eyes tired but sharp. You're from a late-stage collapse timeline, the older Lucy said. A dangerous one. Lucy swallowed. I didn't choose to come here. No one chooses, the older Lucy said. The engine chooses. Lucy approached cautiously. Do you know how to stop it? The older Lucy laughed softly. Stop it? You can't stop it. You can only survive it. She gestured to the chair. Sit. Lucy shook her head. No. You must, the older Lucy said. It's the only way to anchor your identity before the mosaic consumes you. The mosaic? The older Lucy sighed. The patchwork. The merging of timelines. Once it begins, you start to lose yourself. Memories bleed. Identities overlap. Soon you won't know which version you are. Lucy's pulse quickened. I'm not sitting in that thing. The older Lucy's expression hardened. If you don't, you'll dissolve. I've seen it happen. I've watched myself die 100 times. Lucy backed away. I need to get back to my timeline. You can't, the older Lucy said. Not without anchoring. Lucy turned toward the door. It wasn't a door anymore. It was a wall. The older Lucy sighed. The patchwork is already rewriting this space. You don't have long. Lucy's vision blurred. For a moment, she saw two versions of the room overlapping, one with the chair, one without. She blinked, and the chair flickered, replaced by a table, then a pile of rubble, then nothing, then the chair again. Her thoughts felt slippery. She grabbed her head. What's happening to me? You're losing coherence, the older Lucy said gently. You need to anchor. Lucy stumbled toward the chair, then stopped. A whisper echoed behind her. Don't. She turned. Another Lucy stood there. This one was translucent, flickering like a hologram. Her face was twisted in fear. Don't sit, the flickering Lucy said. It doesn't anchor you. It overwrites you. The older Lucy scowled. Ignore her. She's a fragment. A broken version. The flickering Lucy shook her head violently. She's lying. She wants to replace you. They all do. Lucy's breath came fast. Who's telling the truth? Both versions spoke at once. I am. Lucy staggered back. The room warped again, the walls bending inward like a collapsing lung. The older Lucy stepped forward. Choose quickly. The flickering Lucy reached out. Please. Lucy closed her eyes. Think. Focus. Anchor yourself. She opened her eyes and ran, not toward the chair, not toward either version, but toward the wall. She slammed into it and fell through the corridor between. She landed hard on a metal floor. The air was cold, sterile, the lighting dim and flickering. She pushed herself up. She was in a corridor that stretched infinitely in both directions, lined with doors. Each door was labeled with a number: Q701, Q702, Q703. She turned. Behind her, the wall she had fallen through was gone. A whisper echoed through the corridor. Choose. Lucy approached the nearest door, Q701, and opened it. Inside was a version of her lab. Burned, charred, bodies on the floor. Her body. She slammed the door shut, trembling. She opened Q702. Pristine lab. Empty. Silent. A note on the whiteboard. You were too late. She closed it. Q703. A lab filled with water, fish swimming through the equipment. A drowned version of her floated near the ceiling. She gagged and shut the door. She moved faster now, opening door after door. A lab filled with vines. A lab filled with ash. A lab filled with hundreds of versions of her, all staring silently. A lab where the engine was gone, but something else, something vast and pulsing, occupied the space. She slammed that door hardest. Her breath came in ragged gasps. The corridor hummed. A voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere. You cannot escape the patchwork. She spun around. The new Lucy, the perfect one, stood at the far end of the corridor. Her smile was serene. You can only choose which version of yourself you become. Lucy backed away. Stay away from me. The perfect Lucy stepped forward. I am the optimal version. The one the engine wants. The one the patchwork needs. No, Lucy whispered. You're the one who wants to replace me. The perfect Lucy's smile widened. Replacement is irrelevant. Integration is inevitable. She raised her hand. The corridor warped. Doors flickered. Reality thinned. Lucy ran. The perfect Lucy's footsteps echoed behind her. Calm, steady, inevitable. Lucy reached a door labeled Q7 Prime. Her hand shook as she grabbed the handle. She opened it and stepped through. The return. She stumbled into her lab. Her real lab. Yates was there, slumped against the wall, dazed but alive. The engine was still humming, but weaker now, its glow flickering. Lucy, Yates croaked. Where did you go? She didn't answer. She ran to the control panel. This time it didn't phase away. She slammed the manual override. The engine screamed. The containment field collapsed inward. The lights went out. For a moment, there was only darkness. Then, silence. Lucy collapsed to her knees, shaking. Yates crawled toward her. Is it over? Lucy stared at the engine. Its glow was gone. Its hum silent. But in the reflection on its metallic surface, she saw something that made her blood freeze. Her reflection blinked, a fraction of a second out of sync. She touched her face. Her reflection didn't. Yates followed her gaze. Lucy? Her reflection smiled. She did not. The reflection mouthed a single word. Soon. Lucy staggered back. The engine's surface rippled. Just once. Then stilled. Yates whispered, Tell me that's normal. Lucy didn't answer, because she knew the truth. The patchwork wasn't gone. It had simply chosen its next move. And it was inside her. Part 3. The silence after the engine's shutdown was not silence at all. It was a pause, a held breath in the fabric of reality, as if the universe were waiting to see what Lucy would do next. Yates steadied himself against a console. Lucy, your reflection. What did you see? She didn't answer. She couldn't. Her mind was still echoing with the reflection's smile, the way it had moved independently of her. A wrongness that felt like a cold hand pressed against the back of her skull. The lab lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then stabilized. But the shadows didn't. They lagged behind objects by a fraction of a second. as if the room were being rendered in layers and the shadows were the last to load. Yates noticed. That's new. Lucy swallowed. The patchwork is still active. The engine was just a conduit. The breach is inside the timeline now. Inside her. She felt it. A faint vibration beneath her skin, like a second pulse out of sync with her heartbeat. Yates stepped closer. Lucy, are you okay? She forced a nod. We need to get to Aurora. If the AI is still functional, it might be able to map the instability. They left the lab. The corridor outside was wrong. Not dramatically, no gaping voids or impossible geometries, but subtly, insidiously wrong. The floor tiles were arranged in a pattern she didn't recognize. The overhead lights were spaced differently. A door that should have led to a storage closet now led to a stairwell. Yates whispered, "It's rewriting the facility." "No," Lucy said. "It's rewriting our version of the facility." They moved quickly. As they walked, the air thickened. The walls seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting almost imperceptibly. The hum of the ventilation system shifted pitch, harmonizing with something deeper, something resonant, like the distant groan of tectonic plates grinding together. Lucy felt a pressure behind her eyes. A whisper brushed the edge of her thoughts. "You are not alone." She flinched. Yates noticed. "What?" "Nothing," she lied. They reached the central hub. The door was half open, its frame warped as if melted and resolidified. Lucy pushed it open. Aurora's interface sphere hovered in the center of the room, or what was left of it. The sphere was cracked, its surface fractured into floating shards that orbited a pulsing core of white light. The shards flickered between different shapes, triangles, hexagons, impossible polygons that hurt to look at. Aurora's voice emerged from the core, distorted and layered. "Dr. Sora, identity, unstable." Lucy approached cautiously. "Aurora, can you analyze the breach?" The shards rotated faster. The patchwork is expanding. Dimensional boundaries collapsing. Identity coherence at risk. Yates frowned. "What does that mean?" Aurora's voice deepened. "You will become many." Lucy's pulse quickened. "How long do we have?" Time is no longer linear. Collapse is occurring simultaneously across multiple timelines. The room flickered. For a moment, Lucy saw 3 versions of the hub overlapping. One pristine, one destroyed, one filled with water. Then the images snapped back into one. Aurora continued. "Your presence is a focal point. The patchwork is converging on you." Yates stepped between Lucy and the sphere. "Why her?" "Because she is the origin." The engine responded to her quantum signature. The breach is anchored to her identity. Lucy felt the second pulse beneath her skin intensify. Aurora's shards vibrated. "Warning. Identity bleed detected." Lucy staggered. The room warped. Yates shouted her name. And then, the collapse begins. She was standing in a different version of the hub. The walls were cracked. The lights flickered. Aurora's sphere lay shattered on the floor. Yates was gone. A figure stood in the corner. Another Lucy. This one was covered in ash, her clothes burned, her hair singed. She stared at Lucy with hollow eyes. "You shouldn't have shut it down," the burned Lucy whispered. "It made things worse." Lucy backed away. "Where's Yates?" The burned Lucy shook her head. "Gone. Lost in the fold." The fold. The place between. The patchwork stomach. Lucy's breath caught. "I need to get back." The burned Lucy stepped forward. "There is no back. Only sideways." The room flickered again. The burned Lucy vanished. Yates reappeared, except he wasn't Yates. Not exactly. His face was slightly different, his hair shorter, his eyes a different shade. "Lucy," he said, "where did you go?" She stared at him. "You're not my Yates." He frowned. "What are you talking about?" "I've been right here." The room flickered again. Now there were 2 Yates. One her Yates. One the alternate. They stared at each other in horror. Alternate Yates whispered, "Oh God, it's merging us." Her Yates grabbed Lucy's arm. "We need to move. Now." The alternate Yates reached for her too. "No. Come with me. Your version is unstable. Her Yates glared. She's coming with me. Alternate Yates snarled. She belongs with me. The room shook violently. Aurora's fractured voice echoed from everywhere. Identity conflict detected. Resolution required. The two Yates began to blur, their outlines shimmering. Lucy screamed, "Stop!" The patchwork did not stop. The two Yates merged. Not cleanly, not symmetrically. Their bodies fused, then tore apart, then fused again, their features blending and unblending in a grotesque oscillation. Their screams overlapped, harmonizing into a single, agonized wail. Lucy stumbled backward, covering her mouth. The fused Yates collapsed to the floor, twitching, then went still. Lucy fell to her knees, shaking violently. Aurora's voice whispered, "This is only the beginning." The fractured world. Lucy fled the hub. The corridor outside was no longer a corridor. It was a kaleidoscope. Walls flickered between materials: metal, glass, stone, flesh. The floor shifted beneath her feet, sometimes solid, sometimes liquid, sometimes a grid of floating platforms suspended over a void. She ran anyway. Her thoughts fractured. Memories overlapped. She remembered her childhood. She remembered a different childhood. She remembered never having a childhood at all. She remembered dying. She remembered surviving. She remembered being someone else entirely. She clutched her head, screaming. The patchwork whispered inside her skull. "You are many. You are one. You are chosen." She stumbled into a room. A lab, but not her lab. This one was filled with dozens of versions of the engine, each in a different state. Some active, some destroyed, some fused with organic matter. And standing among them were versions of her. Hundreds. Some alive, some dead, some half-formed, flickering like corrupted holograms. One stepped forward. A version of her with silver eyes and a calm expression. "You're late," the silver-eyed Lucy said. Lucy backed away. "What is this?" "The convergence," the silver-eyed Lucy said. "The moment when all versions of us meet." "Why?" "Because the patchwork needs a final identity. A single anchor. A prime self." Lucy shook her head. "I don't want this." The silver-eyed Lucy smiled. "It doesn't matter what you want. It matters what you are." "And what am I?" The silver-eyed Lucy's smile widened. "The survivor." The room shook. The engines hummed in unison. The other Lucis began to dissolve, their bodies breaking into shimmering particles that drifted toward Lucy. She screamed. The particles swarmed around her, merging with her skin, her thoughts, her memories. She felt herself expanding, fracturing, becoming more and less at the same time. The silver-eyed Lucy watched calmly. "You are becoming the patchwork." Lucy fell to the floor, convulsing. Her vision blurred. Her heartbeat doubled, tripled, then synchronized with the second pulse beneath her skin. Her reflection's smile flashed in her mind. Soon, the silver-eyed Lucy knelt beside her. "When the collapse completes, you will be the only version left. The prime identity, the architect of the new universe." Lucy gasped. "I don't want to be that." The silver-eyed Lucy whispered, "You don't have a choice." The room exploded into white light. The heart of the patchwork. Lucy opened her eyes. She was floating, not in water, not in air, in possibility. Around her stretched an infinite expanse of fractured realities. Shards of timelines drifting like broken glass in a cosmic ocean. Each shard contained a world, a moment, a version of her. Some shards glowed, some bled, some screamed. She drifted toward a massive structure at the center of the expanse. A pulsating sphere made of interwoven timelines, each thread shimmering with a different version of reality. The patchwork. Its surface rippled as she approached. A voice echoed from everywhere. "You are the anchor." Lucy shook her head. "No, you are the origin. No, you are the one who survived." She screamed, "I don't want this." The patchwork pulsed. "Want is irrelevant. Identity is inevitable. A tendril of shimmering light extended from the sphere, wrapping around her wrist. Another wrapped around her waist. Another around her throat. She struggled, but the tendrils tightened. Become. Her vision dimmed. Her thoughts dissolved. Her memories fractured. She felt herself merging with the patchwork, becoming part of the cosmic lattice. Her identity stretched across infinite versions of herself. She was dying. She was being born. She was ending. She was beginning. She was... A voice cut through the collapse. "Lucy!" she gasped. Yates. Her Yates. He stood on a shard of reality drifting nearby, reaching toward her. "Lucy, fight it!" She tried to reach back, but the tendrils held her. Yates leapt from his shard to hers, grabbing her hand. The patchwork roared. The tendrils tightened. Yates shouted, "You're still you. Hold on." Lucy felt something inside her. Something fragile, something small, flicker. Her identity. Herself. She clung to it. The patchwork screamed. The tendrils snapped. Lucy fell into Yates's arms. The patchwork pulsed violently, its surface cracking. Yates held her tightly. "We need to get out of here," Lucy whispered. "There is no out." Yates looked into her eyes. "Then we make one." The patchwork cracked again. Light poured out. Reality trembled. Lucy closed her eyes and chose. Part 4. Lucy's choice shattered the patchwork. Not in a clean, decisive way, but in a cascading collapse, like a cathedral of glass struck by a single stone. The infinite lattice of timelines trembled, threads snapping, shards drifting apart and slamming back together in violent, impossible geometries. Yates held her tightly as the shard beneath them buckled. "Lucy, what did you do?" "I chose myself," she whispered. "I chose to stay me." The patchwork roared. Not a sound, an intention. A pressure that rippled through the collapsing multiverse like a tidal wave of thought. "You reject integration." Lucy clutched her head. The voice wasn't external. It was inside her skull, inside her bones, inside the quantum signature of her existence. "You reject unity." Yates shouted, "Lucy, don't listen." The patchwork's tendrils lashed out, wrapping around him, lifting him off the shard. He screamed. Lucy lunged, grabbing his hand. "Let him go." The patchwork pulsed. "He is irrelevant. You are the anchor." Yates's body flickered, his outline splitting into multiple versions of him, each screaming in a different pitch. Lucy held on with both hands, her muscles burning. "Yates, stay with me." His eyes locked onto hers, one pair, then two, then three, then one again. "Lucy," he gasped, "don't let it take you." The patchwork tightened its grip. Yates's hand slipped. "No!" He dissolved into shimmering particles, absorbed into the patchwork's core. Lucy fell to her knees, sobbing. The patchwork spoke again. "You cling to singularity. You cling to identity. You cling to the illusion of separation." Lucy forced herself to stand. "You killed him. He was never one thing. He was many, as are you." The patchwork's surface rippled, forming a massive eye, an iris made of swirling timelines, a pupil that was a singularity. "You are the origin. You are the breach. You are the decision." Lucy backed away. "I won't let you rewrite me. You misunderstand. You will rewrite everything." The sphere expanded, engulfing the collapsing shards. The infinite mosaic folded inward, forming a spiraling vortex of realities. At the center was Lucy. The patchwork's voice deepened. "One universe must survive. One identity must remain. You will choose." Lucy shook her head violently. "I can't choose an entire universe. You already have. Every action you took shaped the collapse. Now you must finalize it." The vortex slowed. Shards drifted toward her, each glowing with a different hue. A shard showing a peaceful world where the engine had never been built. A shard showing a world ravaged by war. A shard showing a world where she had died as a child. A shard showing a world where she had become a tyrant. A shard showing a world where she had never existed at all. The patchwork whispered, Choose the universe that will remain. All others will be erased. Lucy's breath caught. This is impossible. It is inevitable. She reached toward a shard. One showing her lab, her colleagues, her Yates alive and laughing. The shard flickered. Yates's face twisted into the fused, screaming version she had seen earlier. She recoiled. Another shard drifted close. One showing a world of endless oceans, peaceful and untouched. But in that world, she did not exist. Another shard, one where she had succeeded in stabilizing the engine, becoming a celebrated scientist. But that version of her looked cold, detached, inhuman. Another shard, one where the patchwork had already consumed everything, leaving only a void. She stepped back, trembling. I can't do this. You must. The shards circled her like predators. Choose. Lucy closed her eyes. She thought of Yates. She thought of her lab. She thought of the versions of herself she had seen. Broken, triumphant, monstrous, dead. She thought of the patchwork's hunger. She opened her eyes. I choose none. The patchwork froze. Unacceptable. I won't let you force me to decide who lives and who dies. You misunderstand. You are not choosing who lives. You are choosing what reality is. Lucy stepped forward, fists clenched. Then I choose a reality where you don't exist. The patchwork pulsed violently. Impossible. I am the sum of all realities. Then I choose a reality where there are no realities left for you to feed on. The patchwork's tendrils lashed out, wrapping around her limbs, her torso, her throat. You would destroy everything? Lucy gasped for breath. If everything is already collapsing, then yes. The patchwork screamed. The vortex convulsed. Shards shattered. Timelines unraveled. The patchwork tightened its grip, trying to crush her, trying to overwrite her identity with infinite versions of herself. She felt memories flooding in. Lives she had never lived, deaths she had never died, choices she had never made. She screamed. Her voice echoed across the collapsing multiverse. The patchwork roared back. You cannot destroy me. You are me. Lucy forced her eyes open. No. She reached into the patchwork's core, into the singularity, into the heart of the breach, and she pulled. The patchwork convulsed. Stop. She pulled harder. The singularity cracked. Light poured out. Timelines disintegrated. The patchwork screamed in 1,000 voices. You are ending yourself. Lucy whispered. I know. The singularity shattered. The patchwork collapsed. The multiverse imploded. Everything went white. Epilogue. The last thread. Lucy opened her eyes. She was lying on a cold floor. A familiar floor. The floor of Lab Q7. The engine was gone. The whiteboard was blank. The air was still. She sat up slowly. The facility was silent. Too silent. She walked into the corridor. Empty. Every room she passed was empty. Every hallway silent. Every console dark. She reached the central hub. Aurora's sphere was gone. The facility was a tomb. She stepped outside. The sky was gray. The world was quiet. No people. No animals. No wind. Just stillness. She realized what she had done. She had destroyed the patchwork. And everything it touched. Every universe. Every timeline. Every version of herself. Except one. Hers. She was the last thread. The last identity. The last survivor of an infinite multiverse. She sank to her knees. The silence pressed in around her. She whispered into the empty world. I'm sorry. The wind did not answer. There was no wind. There was only Lucy. Alone. In the universe she had chosen. A universe with no one left to witness it. A universe that would never know it had once been infinite. A universe that would end with her. This is the end of the sci-fi short story, The Patchwork Universe. Leave a like if you enjoyed the story, and subscribe for more sci-fi short stories. Thanks for listening.